Today I'm going to show you one of the greatest decks for farming through Master Duel if you don't want to use your brain. And this isn't your average everyday stun deck. I assure you right now that you're going to find Necrogoon to be a nice twist on a control strategy for Master Duel. So get ready to win some die rolls and let's check out this list. Alright my friends, here it is, Necrogoon in Master Duel, the low IQ but high power deck for getting through the ranks in the rated ladder. Really solid choice against the current meta decks inside of Master Duel because Necro Valley is putting in so much work, more so I'd say even than it does in the TCG. And the lower ceiling end boards in a more control-centric format where we got things like Max C running around, this deck can outperform a surprising amount of the time. Not to mention the fact that in a best of one, when you're winning that die roll and establishing your floodgates, you're just winning the game. So it can be pretty easy if you get yourself into a good run to rack up a 5 to 10 to like 12 win streak with this deck. Now, of course, I'm not going to say because this deck is so fantastic. I'm more so going to say because the stars aligned and it just has those 2 to 3 card combo hands that are really hard for your opponent to deal with. And we all know what the best one is. Anyway to Dragoon plus Necro Valley, and if you're really lucky, you've got that Royal Tribute. Playing Royal Tribute is probably the easiest hand rip strategy you can do on Master Duel. And there has been countless times where I've ripped 3 to 4 to even 5 cards out of my opponent's opening hand. But for real, this deck can be a menace in the Master Duel meta. So your monster lineup, as always, is very small. We've just got the Dragoon package being the Dark Magician and the Red Eyes. Pick your favorite artwork. I don't really know how that works in Master Duel. And then you've got your Gravekeeper package of the 1 Headman and triple Commandant. The reason why we play the Headman is because if we open up with the Commandant or a way to it, we can set up a Verte Anaconda play. So we search out the Necro Valley off the Commandant, and then we summon it back from the grave off of the Headman, link 2 off to Verte, and boom, you got yourself a Dragoon. Then, of course, we also have to play the one of Wyvern to go with the triple copies of Red Eyes Insight. These search your Red Eyes Fusion. The best way to go for Dragoon in the game. The one thing I will mention that sucks, I used to always say how this deck would only lose to an Ash Blossom, and maybe Droll with an asterisk. Nowadays, that's not as true, though, because Dominus Impulse exists, so that is another card that can theoretically stop your Red Eyes Fusion. If they're so good that they have it, so be it. But we also still play the Striker package, triple copies of Engage, and then a 1 target for each copy of Engage we play, the Afterburners, the Hornet Drones, and 1 copy of the Dank Anchor. So we've got an Interrupt, we got Removal, and of course we've got our free Link 2 in the form of the Hornet Drones. Keeper package, we've got, of course, the namesake of the deck, the Necro Valley. It wouldn't be Necrogoon without it. Triple copies of the Throne that search off your Commandant or your Headman, and then triple copies of the Royal Tribute to discard your opponent's hand. For budgetary reasons, I've opted to go with 2 copies of the Fury, the Kairyushin, however you pronounce it, as well as 2 copies of the Torrential Tribute. I've always loved Torrential inside the Necrogoon deck. I would probably, in an optimized list, play triple copies of Upstart Goblin for maximized consistency, so that way the copies of the Ryushin right now, instead of always being Torrential, they could always be a random blank card. But it serves a very similar purpose while being an SR instead of a UR, where it grabs us an extra form of interruption, and it also is a spell in the graveyard to work with your Striker package. And the last spell to round things out is the Broken Forbidden Droplets, the only real hard-going second card we actually play in the main. And then traps, without a surprise, the 2 Torrentials go with the Kurishin, Bing, Bong, Boom, well, whatever. The 2 Solemn Judgments and 1 Solemn Scolding right now in this build because I've only got 2 Judgments assembled, but I love Solemn Scolding. I just want to take this moment to give a shout out to Solemn Scolding. I will mention this, it doesn't really conflict too often because you can usually use your other set cards before using this one, or most of your other stuff ends up being face up if it's a Necro Valley or keeping a negate in hand for your Dragoon. So it really is pretty operationally equivalent. And I just love Solemn Scolding as a card. Pay 3,000, it opens up the door for a little bit more negation options. It really is the forgotten Solemn card. And then, of course, we stick some Floodgates in here. We got a Rivalry of the Warlords and a Gozen match. Neither one hurts you too much. Of course, yeah, sure, there's some mini conflicts here with the Striker package. Or if you're trying to normal summon Commandants, do beatdowns while you got Dragoon on the board. Sure, they conflict, but at the end of the day, you are still playing a control strategy, meaning you want to have Floodgates, and these are the ones that are legal for the game. Yeah, we're going to play them. Also, quick shout out to Tikaboo. This also could be one of the Floodgates you choose to play. But it's a UR, so you kind of know how that is. And the extra you can kind of fill with whatever you want, but some of the most mandatory slots, in my opinion, of course, the Dragoon and the Verite Anaconda. I like to play an SP and everything, if you have it, which you probably should. Your Striker package, at least one of each. I think that's pretty safe. The only UR you really need to deal with is the Kagari. And then for the flex spots, what I decided to stick in here, I've got an Artemis, I've got some Nightmare monsters, other options that your headman can make. An IP Masquerena just cuz. The Dark and the Earth Charmers, giving us two different options, also for our Selene and Access Code combo. That really only works if Necro Valley isn't on the field. But long story short, I want you to know that the extra deck is extremely flexible. Last card I want to give an honorable mention to is the Gravekeeper's Heretic. This card is unaffected by all other card effects while you have Necro Valley on the field. It can be an additional piece of pressure that is searchable off of your throne without a commitment to any additional engine pieces. Just a nice one-off to have. I do like this card, but I decided not to play it in this build. But if you're finding your Dragoon gets outed pretty often and you want another way to play, even if it is only with a tiny guy backed up by trap cards and droplets, this is another option for you. Last thing I want to show you is another way that you can play the deck, cutting off the Torrentials and the card that searches it in favor of playing the Upstart Goblins, making your Striker package a little bit more alive by having more spells in the grave more often, upping the consistency, playing a 37 card deck, and instead maxing out on the Solemn Judgment, yet another completely viable way to play this goofy deck. If you want to see us obliterate people with this deck live, be sure to check out the live streams on YouTube and or Twitch on Mondays and Wednesdays. Let me know what you want to see next in the TCG or in Master Duel. I'm trying to keep it a bit more on the casual side because I think that the modern format sucks. But hey, if you want to see something, I'll try and make it happen. I appreciate y'all immensely. Logan JYA signing off. Have a great day. I'll see you beautiful people later. Peace.